Alright, guys. I'm in the mode to record, so that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be talking more about it here. I'll be talking more about this here in just a little bit. Alright, so I think I decided what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be, instead of doing live streams, I'm going to be just doing regular recordings. But I'm going to be doing a lot of gameplay and off screen. So if you see that I skipped a lot between playthroughs for each game area, that's why. It's because it can be a bit stressful recording all of it. I much prefer to do some gameplay off screen. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I tried doing live streams, but it didn't work out, so I'll just be doing regular recordings. I'm going to play this again because I'm just in the mood to, and I want to make up for the live stream, so yeah. I tried to play, I thought about, well, not tried, but I thought about playing the Bakeria games, recording them, but here's the thing. The separate sound options are very important to me. You know, there's an option to turn the music off, and there's an option to turn the sound effects off. I like the option to have, them separately is really important to me because I don't like to have the music on while playing because it drowns out my voice. Sorry if I'm talking weird, my nose is stopped up. Ugh. Sorry about that. But anyway, yeah. I don't want to have the music on because it drowns out my voice, but I also don't want to have but I also want to have the sound on so I can hear, because I want to be able to hear the timers because I'm not always paying attention to the station lines at the bottom. Otherwise, if I don't have the sound effects on, if I have everything off, then I'm gonna be overcooking my food. So it's either have my voice be drowned out or me constantly overcooking my food. I don't want either of them, so I'm just gonna play the post Bakeria games. Now some of you are probably well, just turn your phone down. Well, that's the thing. The thing is, when I turn, let's say I turn my phone down to where it's barely audible, where you can, barely hear the music and, the sounds. It will still play through at full volume when I record it. It's weird. It's weird. I don't understand why it works like that. So yeah, another thing I want to bring up. You may have noticed back in July, I believe I made a gameplay video of this. Well, that's a different file. I decided to delete that file and restart. And since I restarted since doing those videos, and since I'm going to be doing this a little differently, this will be named Part 1, along with Pancakeria, Wingeria. And, the first time I do, of course this one, Pancakeria, Wingeria, and Cluckeria again. You're gonna notice that I'm gonna be just naming them Part 1 again. Then I'll name them Part 2, then Part 3, Part 4, and so forth and so on. As for the dream job, I chose bookstore this time around. I think when I did that first episode, I chose the beauty salon. But this time, I decided to choose bookstore. Because as a lot of you know, I want to become an author. So, I just think bookstore goes cute with that. But yeah, I am a writer. And I hope to do it as a decent living one of these days. I already discussed what some of my planned books are. My highest priority at the moment is the attraction towards fictional characters. Then my other priority will be a book about the autistic spectrum. Because with all due respect, it's just something that's very misunderstood. There's still a lot of ignorance when it comes to autism, and I want to be the person who gains insight, or who offers people insight, because I know that there have already been people who wrote books about autism, but people write differently. People write differently. People give out different information. So while our books will have something in common, which will be about education about autism, they're still going to be very different in their own ways. I'm going to try to write about a lot of stuff people don't know yet. That's very important when writing books. You have to be able to think outside the box, or just think about stuff that no one else has written, and that not many people have thought about or have learned. Because if you just write stuff that other people know about, then no new knowledge will be gained. You have to be able to write about stuff that's more unknown when it comes to topics like autism and whatnot. I would also love to write a book about the school system. Now, I'm not in school anymore. I graduated back in 2016. But I still feel the same way as I used to when I was in school. The school system is very flawed. I feel like we learn about a bunch of stuff that we don't even need. And like what's even worse is there's a lot of stuff that we don't learn that we do need. Like we learn about geometry, trigonometry, freaking Shakespeare. Different historical events. Like there's just so much useless knowledge that we acquire that we don't care about. When there's like stuff there's like a bunch of stuff that we actually could be learning, like how to pay bills, how to write a check, how to, function in society. And people give arguments like, well, the reason why we learn history is so we don't repeat it, or books should not be forgotten, like, with all due respect, a lot of the excuses people give are just really weak. Books should not be forgotten. That doesn't mean people should be forced to read books they're not interested in. Just let people who only have people who are interested to read those books. That is like the stupidest argument in the world. That's not gonna make it useful. I think the stuff that we should learn in school should be based on two factors: what we need and what we're interested in. As for the history argument, the whole, we learned this stuff so we don't repeat it. That's not necessarily gonna make people not repeat it. Like, events like the Holocaust, 9/11, that's not because of lack of knowledge for history. That's because of sick people out there. Learning about historical events is not going to stop people from being sick fucks. And here's the thing. If you're not interested in something, or if you don't need something, then people are gonna eventually forget it. Like, if someone doesn't care about something, like if someone's not gonna need something in their future, or if they're just not interested, people are eventually gonna forget. Or some people even, they don't pay attention in the first place. That's something a lot of people don't seem to consider. How do you expect people to pay attention to stuff or to remember stuff if they don't give a shit about it? You know what I mean? I feel like there would be a lot more successful people if school actually focused on what we actually need to learn and what we want to learn. There's too much, I feel like grades are, overestimated. Sure, you gotta pass to progress. If you want to, actually graduate and, pass your classes, and, get through the grades. I get that, but, I just mean in the long run. Unless you want to be, a history teacher, if you have, a career, or if you're just gonna, function in a way that allows, that, has, puts you in a situation where you actually need, those subjects, that's a different story. But if you're not gonna be, if you're not gonna get a job with literature, history, science, math, then it's not gonna affect you in the long run. Once you graduate, it's not gonna matter anymore. Hell, take it from me. I want to be an author, but even English class was useless for me, for the most part. Because 90% of high school English is reading a bunch of stories and analyzing them. The only parts that are useful is punctuation and whatnot. Since I want to become a writer, then yes, it's important to learn proper spelling, grammar, punctuation, all that good stuff. But I just don't see why it's so important to read medieval stories. Yeah, reading's important, but we already know how to read. And another thing is, times were different back then. People spoke differently. People thought differently. We had different entertainment back then. That's something else that the school system needs to consider is times are different now from when they were back when Shakespeare's stories were written. And another thing, too, people have their own way of thinking. You can't always put a right or wrong tag on the way people think. Some people are just not good at analyzing literature. It may seem like writing and analyzing literature go hand in hand. No, that's not necessarily true. I suck at analyzing literature. However, I would say I'm a good writer. A lot of people say I'm a good writer, despite not being able to analyze other people's literature. So no, that's not necessarily true. Just because you're bad at analyzing literature, that doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to be a good writer. And this goes for the other way around, too. Some people may not be good writers, but they may be good at analyzing literature. So, while it seems like they should go hand in hand, that's actually not the case. Oh my god. And let me tell you something, guys. There was this one method that I learned in high school. It's called the APE strategy. Like, it involves answering a question, providing evidence, and explaining. I just could not do that to save my life. Like, it's just not my thing. Especially when you're not interested in what you're reading. Now, if you're interested in what you're reading, then then it may be easier to analyze literature. But how do you expect people to be able to analyze what they're reading if they're not even interested in it to begin with? You see? You have to actually be interested in what you're reading if you want to actually analyze it properly. Jorge will be pleased. Prudence is here. Oh my god, I am so sorry. My brother is... I don't even know what he's doing, but I'm sorry if you guys can hear that in the background. But yeah, I actually failed my last test. Or not my last test, I don't know. But it was like a test I took during my sophomore year. I actually failed it. It was like an end of year test that I actually failed because of the stupid ape strategy thing that we had to do. I remember I was crying because I was actually really worried that I would fail. Like, I was actually worried sick that I would fail, and then my mom was like freaking convincing me that I would pass. Like, she was so confident that I would pass. And guess what happens? I fail, so I was crying about it because for one thing, I don't like failing tests. Like, I hate being notified that I failed a test. And second of all, my mom was like so confident that I would pass, so I was worried about her being mad at me and being disappointed in me because, well, she's not as bad as some parents are. She is one of those parents who overestimates the importance of grades. Both my mom and my dad are like this, so of course of course, on top of that, she was extremely confident and certain that I would pass. So I was worried. I was like so upset that my mom would, and so worried that my mom would be angry and disappointed at me. But then I asked my teacher why I failed, what caused me to fail, and I think she told me it was because of the ape writing strategy, and since I knew I sucked ass at that part, it made me feel a lot better. Sometimes, if we do poorly on something we know we're not good on, that helps us to feel better. But yeah, the point is, writing and analyzing are two very different things. Now, you would think they would go hand in hand, but even my mom said that. Even my mom was like, I remember years back I was telling my mom, you think with how much I love to write and how good people say and how good people say I'm writing, you'd think that I would be better at analyzing literature. And even she was like, not necessarily. Some people, they can be two totally different things, and I agree with her because I suck ass at one thing and I'm really good at the other. I suck ass at analyzing literature, but I'm really good at writing. So yeah, you would think that English would be useful for me. But once you get into high school, unless you want to become an English teacher or like some type of literature analyst, it's probably going to be extremely boring or useless for you. Now, I know Daniel, I saw on Instagram last night that Daniel had a test. I wish him luck. But yeah, school should be structured around, number one, what we actually need to do in the real world. And number two, things are interested in. You don't necessarily have to learn only things that you need. You can, some things you don't necessarily need, but you're interested in. Just sometimes there's like certain subjects you want. That they don't have to do with what you need, but sometimes it's just good to have stuff that you're interested in. Like, for example, I love astronomy. I took Earth and Space Science when I was a senior in high school. Do I need astronomy? Nope, but it is at least interesting to me. So yeah, I feel like people as a whole, people would be a lot more successful in life, and not only in school, like in school and in life, if school was actually structured around real life and interests. Plus, like I said, if people are learning things they don't need or are not interested in, then they're just gonna forget about it eventually. Hell, they may forget about it within the first few days or so, or they may not have paid attention to it to begin with. And then they're not going to know it for when, like, there's, like, a test on it. So that's something else that should be considered. Don't expect people to retain knowledge of things they don't care about or are not going to need. That's just not how it works. Most people's brains are just not wired that way. Sure, people can, like, study and stuff, like, for, like, a test, but a lot of people, I'm not gonna say all people or even most people, but a lot of people, they just wanna when they're not in school, they just want to take what they can to relax. They don't want to have to worry about more school-related bullshit. They just want to relax while they're at home. And that brings me to my next point. Homework. I just don't get the point of homework. Unless it's like studying for a test, catching up on work you're behind. You know, that's understandable. That's what homework should be about. Not giving students extra assignments. People have lives outside of school. Oh, shoot. That was an accident. Sorry, Yippee, but I gave you an extra cherry. I pressed the green button instead of dragging my order ticket. So yeah, but even studying, I don't blame people for not doing it because they just want to people just want to when people get home, or when people are not in school, they just want to have that time to themselves to relax before the next school day. Not to mention, people have obligations. Like, people may have certain, like, household things to take care of. Some people may have chores. Some people may have extracurricular activities. Or some people just may want to spend time with their family and friends. Like, I feel like things like that are like overlooked. Like things like that need to be considered. Hold on, let me speed up these pies right quick. Well, this one, I'm gonna delay the cooking on this one. Alright. But yeah, I just don't get it. I don't understand why useless knowledge is so important in school, and I don't know why it's so important to remember things that are useless to us. Alright, here's a test. Hopefully you remembered the useless shit we learned. Like, that's basically what it's like. So yeah, that's another book. That's one of the books I have planned, is just issues with the school system. What's worse than learning useless stuff is not learning useful stuff. How do you expect people to function in the real world when they don't, when they just learn about nonsense in school all the time instead? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm alone in this. Maybe I'm not. But I just think the things that we learn about in school should be different. And like English, history, math, like, you know, those types of classes should only be available, the only people who should have to take those classes are like people who are like planning to have a career that goes under one of those classes, or just people who may need the knowledge for whatever reason, or just people who are interested. Like, those, only those people should have to take those classes, and those so-called, wait, what are they called? I forgot what they're called. Not electives, that's the opposite, but like, I guess they're called basics, like general ed. I think that's what they're called, just general education classes. Alright, I think this will be the last day. It's the last day of Valentine's Day, so this will be my last day. Then I'll end it off. Yeah, I'm sorry for skipping New Year's, but like I said, I'm gonna be doing a lot of gameplay off screen. This means that I don't know if I'm gonna be filming St. Patrick's Day at all. Who knows? We will see. But yeah, I could talk about this for hours. Now, don't get me wrong. This isn't to say that I totally hate school. There are a lot of fun things about school that I like. Hell, there are even like some science-related stuff that I like. Like astronomy's the most notable. But I just never understood why we have to learn about why we have to have like random knowledge. Why should we have to just have random knowledge that will eventually just that we will eventually forget about, rather than things that we actually need? I just don't get it, and that will be one of the issues that I cover in my school system related book if I get to writing it. But yeah, like I said, a lot of the arguments people give off for needing these classes, like, they're just, I'm sorry, but they're stupid. We don't need to learn about historical events to avoid them. What people need to learn is be a decent human being. Now, if these events were like an accident, for example, then the argument would be valid, but events like 9/11, the Holocaust, different wars, that's because of sick people and because of like people fighting. People learning about historical events is not going to change that. We have to change that. We have to change that by learning the value of world peace. And of course, the books should not be forgotten. That's really stupid. That doesn't mean force people to read them. That is the stupidest argument I have ever heard in my entire life. Books should not be forgotten. That doesn't necessarily mean people should be forced to read those books. Just let people who like those books read them. You know? Not everyone has to be forced to read a book for it to not be forgotten. Just have the people who actually give a shit to read those books. And like another argument, not necessarily, it's not as stupid as the other arguments I've discussed, but the reason why the argument people give like to why we read these books in high school is because they teach like lessons and they convey like morals and stuff. I mean, I kind of get that, but why can't we just learn? Why does there have to be some kind of book that we have to figure out the moral? Why can't we just be taught morals, like in a straightforward way? That's another thing. People have their own methods of learning different things. Some people rather read. Some people rather just learn things in a more straightforward way, like me. That's something else that should be considered and available in school. People have their own ways of wanting to learn stuff. So I think they should have like different classes and different options for that. That might actually be another issue that I might talk about in my book. We need more methods available for learning certain stuff. Because, like, people are different, alright? People learn things differently. People explain things differently. People learn in different ways. People have different preferences of how they want to learn certain things. And I just feel like most schools, maybe even like all schools, I don't know, they expect everyone to just be the same. And that's just not the way it works. People are different. Like, there shouldn't be like one right thing and a million wrong things, or one right answer and a million wrong answers. People are different. People are wired differently. But yeah, I think that will be a good issue to talk about. In my book. In that school system book, yeah. Alright, unfortunately, Valentine's Day is over. But I do think it will be a good stopping point. So I'm going to end it off right here. Just keep in mind, like I said a couple of times, I'm going to be doing a lot of gameplay off screen. So I may or may not be on a different day when I do gameplay part 2. Technically, it'll be gameplay part 3 because I already did a part 1 back in July, but I'm just going to be restarting them. I'm going to be restarting numbering since I deleted the files from July and because I'm going a slightly different way about this. So this will be part 1. The next Bakeria will be part 2. Do not expect it to be day 29. It may or may not be day 29. Because I may do some gameplay in between. I may not. Like, you never know. So yeah, I may be in day 29. I may be on day 20 or day 28. Sorry, this will be day 28. Sorry. Hold on. Okay, yeah, sorry. I was thinking I already did a day 28, but no. The next day will be day 28. Like, I may or may not be on day 28 because there might be times where I'll do off-screen gameplay in between episodes. There may be times where I don't do off-screen gameplay between episodes. Like, it's just going to be very inconsistent and all over the place, so yeah. Alright, I think that's about it for now. I'll see you guys later. Bye.